You're listening to Weekdays with Josh and Cole.
Back to the podcast. They kicked us off of the air. It's okay though.
I don't know if we'll ever get a chance back.
We're hoping we will. We hope we will. We got Mark Springer and the boys over there fighting for us pretty hard. But we're back on our podcast, the normal daily grind. I am joined by my wonderful co-host, once again, Joshua Grismer. We've been busy, and so have sports. Big news right out of the gate. The Big Ten, ACC, and the Pac-12 are expected to, I guess, adopt a conference-only season tournament.
Well, real quick, and on top of that, especially with the Big Ten, do you know what that means? Big Ten and the Pac-12, excuse me. What that means right now is, especially for Colorado residents, there's no Rocky Mountain Showdown this year. CSU and CU are not conference players, so they're usually a non-conference scheduled game that opens up the season. And as of right now, with the way that looks,
there's no Rocky Mountain Showdown.
They're
this
out
year.
of there. There's not going to be one.
You would know, who was it set to be the home team this year? Was it?
It was going to be in Fort Collins.
It was going to be Fort Collins.
Yeah,
Stadium.
There was no neutral site. It was going to be in Fort Collins this year.
Which
I was incredibly looking forward to going to.
Well, I think that's everybody's.
Yeah,
that's the one matchup everybody looks forward to in Colorado.
Yeah, it's disappointing to say the least. But again, these are kind of uncharted waters, and we don't really know what this next season is going to hold, even NFL-wise or anything like that. So I think the NCAA is kind of just taking a back seat and trying to kind of see what, in quotations, Big Brother does in the NFL.
So are all these conferences just basically doing their own little tests to figure out what the best avenue of going about this is? Because almost every conference has either postponed or at the very most gotten rid of their Olympic sports, i.e. Stanford, that just dropped 11. They
dropped 36, and 11 of those are like directly impacting the actual campus.
That is incredible in and of itself. So all these conferences and all these schools, they're doing these individual tests. I believe the SEC would be the next biggest conference to make a move here.
Yeah.
But what is the NCAA's plan? What's the NFL's plan? Does this mean we're going to get football at all? Because at this point, we're only going to get a tournament-style football season.
Yeah,
it's going to be playoffs anyway. Is it even worse?
Kind of. The biggest thing for me is Nebraska. So if you take teams that are taking only or schools and I guess the teams inside those schools that are only playing conference games now. So take a look at Nebraska as my example. Nebraska has a conference game to start out the regular season, okay? And then they have 3 weeks of what would have been non-conference games. So do they just have 3 weeks off? So they'll play September 1st and not again until October 12th? Or do you move up the other? Like there's some massive schedule changes that need to be made now, not just for Nebraska. That was just my example. That's going to be every single school that is facing this exact type of deal. So what are you going to do with that? You're not just going to have 4 weeks in the middle of the football season off. That's not okay for your players. That's not okay for anything.
But is this even safe for the players to even attempt this? Because you don't want players getting sick, and to take this to a larger scale. And back to the question everybody is having around all sports radio right now: is it worth it if you have a Russell Wilson, a Aaron Rodgers, in the Broncos' case, a Drew Lock? If they get sick,
a Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes.
Richest man in the NFL.
Now the richest man in America, basically.
Yeah.
Is it worth it even just to get them sick, or is it worth it just to see what happens? Because let's say NCAA football does move to the spring, and I want to bring this idea to you, Josh. If the NCAA football moves to the spring, could the NFL then consider themselves their own spring football, their own spring summer football? Based off what they saw with the XFL, people were interested. People were turning in. Even ESPN carried a couple games.
Yeah.
So would that be something that intrigues the NFL? Because that also means they could most likely team up with the NCAA in some way to where they could still keep their star athletes for their spring football season, which is their biggest concern.
Let's take a look at this really quickly, because if you take a look at a guy like Trevor Lawrence, who has really proven himself to be what is going to be the number one overall pick next year, why would he ever play in a spring season? You don't do that. You just don't do that. And the NFL, the last thing the NFL wants to do is spring. That's the last apocalyptic resort that they're gonna or choice that they're going to resort to, because there is, to them, they can't move an entire season. There's too much money lost in that, or put on hold, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
When there's teams that need to pay players. Like, I guarantee you that there are NFL players right now who are not getting their paychecks because of what is going on. And on top of that, with the NFL saying they want to reduce their player salaries to around 35% of what they would normally be if they have a shortened season.
Yeah.
That's not going to be okay. It's already been not okay in the MLB. That's the whole fight they've had over the last couple months now that really kind of stalled their season.
And you have had guys like Michael Thomas that have already set out, if the NFL tries to pull anything like that, guys just aren't showing up.
Yeah, they're just done.
I totally agree with that too. But the NFL just doesn't seem to even have a plan, because they came out today via Tom Pelissero. The NFL will be banning post-game jersey exchanges.
Yeah, so let me ask you this. Okay. You and I, we're going to a Broncos game, okay?
Yeah.
It's Broncos versus Chiefs.
Yep.
You got Von Miller chasing around Patrick Mahomes for 3 hours, okay?
Yes.
Trying
to rip his head off.
Yeah, after that, they're going to be in close proximity. He's probably going to get 1 or 2 sacks, okay?
Yes,
maybe half a sack. We'll see, depending on how Mahomes does. After 3 full hours of touching each other and rubbing up and hitting each other in the mouth and tackling each other and talking smack, you can't swap jerseys?
Yeah.
You can't.
According to the NFL,
you can't swap. No, this is the NFL doing something because they have not liked people swapping jerseys anyway, because every time you swap a jersey, out of that player's check comes $500. Those jerseys are $500 each. They don't do those jersey swaps for free. It costs the players something, okay? On top of that, they just don't like it. They don't like having to make new jerseys. They don't like having to lose old game jerseys. So with that, they're like, let's use COVID. Let's use COVID-19 as this coverall CYA type deal and just outlaw it because of COVID, even though you guys are going to be touching each other and hitting each other for 3 hours.
Is this some conspiracy theory from the NFL to keep some kind of villainy between the teams, to make sure that there's no camaraderie at the end?
No, I think that's ridiculous. I maybe not that, but if they truly are thinking that, I don't think your conspiracy theory is far-fetched. I think if they are thinking that, that's ridiculous. And that's insane to me. Like, yes, there are going to be teams that you just don't like.
And I even agree with Jamal Adams, who went on social media and posted, "Hey, bro, just stand 6 feet away. Toss."
Yeah, toss the jersey, bro. Toss it.
I mean, like, you got the avenues away around this. And I guess the rule specifically says no post-game celebrations within 6 feet. So, but that's so stupid.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. That's like the same thing where it's like how even nowadays these restaurants are coming in. They're allowing you to dine in now, but you have to wear a mask to order your food. You take off your mask and sit there and eat. That's just another I don't understand. If you're in the same proximity, which you're going to be on a football field, I just don't think the
NFL, let alone any of the owners, GMs, anybody that is making a lot of money off of these players, off of these teams, I don't think anybody's truly thinking what they're putting place through. I think they're just kind of throwing everything against the wall, seeing what sticks, and trying to see what kind of backlash they can get out of their players, which is ridiculous because all of these players have already said, this is what's going to happen. If you do not guarantee our safety, we will not play.
But then again, how do you guarantee safety? Because if you look at it like players, okay, so let's think about it from a different standpoint. Hold on. The right now, players, and I know this is not to the same degree, so just hear me out, everybody that's going to listen. Every single year, players end up getting the flu, and they give that flu. I remember Dalton Reisner said he was patient zero last
there was
year,
a massive flu
where there was a fungus coming out. About the whole Broncos locker room basically got sick. Okay, So on top of that, people are going to get the coronavirus during the MLB season or the NHL or the NBA or the NFL season. Okay, so it's going to happen, but when you are exposed, you literally cannot quarantine an entire football team. Do you forfeit 2 weeks? That's 2 losses.
Well, and that's just it. You can't just have one of these teams cut out of the season. And I understand totally that, yes, one player or another is going to get sick eventually. That's just out of the question. Somebody is going to get sick, and I guarantee it's going to be a big name player, just like NASCAR. They had Jimmy Johnson, who just got sick last week. He had to sit out an entire race.
Absolutely, which sucks for him. That's horrible.
No, it's terrible. And that's NASCAR's sport you're not even touching each other in.
Not even close.
So I guarantee when we get into the whole swing of things, guys are going to get sick, and knock on wood that it's very minimum, and that everybody is healthy and gets back on the field as fast as possible, or the court, or wherever you're playing in these bubbles everywhere.
Yeah, we don't even know where the hub cities are, or if the NFL will even have home games. Like, will they also have hub cities?
Does the does the NFL need to adopt their own hub city?
Well, and real quickly, kind of just with that fumble of words, really quick, when you said the NHL. I want to bring up one thing that I actually love about the NHL and what they're doing. So when the NHL starts back up, which I believe is around August 1st, they're going to have 3 games a day at 12 p.m., 4 p.m., and 8 p.m.
Nonstop
and
hockey.
For NHL fans, that's like hockey porn. You literally can't get enough hockey. And that's for me being a hockey fan, I'm probably have not been so excited for this in my entire life.
It's time to take the day off, sit in your sweats.
It's August 1st is a Saturday. You won't be able to get a hold of me. I'm going to be on the couch and I will not have moved. And another quick update for you guys as well. What's coming up next? Actually, Sunday, July 12th, Colorado Rapids will be taking on Real Salt Lake City.
Back to soccer.
They're going back to the MLS, which I love that they're opening up. I actually watched, there was an MLS game today. The teams are escaping me, but it was kind of cool how I saw this. Instead of looking and seeing empty stands, they put virtual boards up of ads, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm totally fine with that.
I prefer that over the virtual fans themselves.
Yes, I agree with that. Yeah. But I think when these teams, like, sports are coming back, whether people like it or not, they're coming back.
And that's why I'm really excited that MLS is kind of coming back right now. NHL and NBA are coming back right now.
MLB, July 23rd and 24th.
It gives the NFL something to look at a little bit.
Gauge their audience and kind of see what's going on.
Gauge the audience, gauge how the players are handling the whole safety precautions and limitations. And it also gives everybody a chance to see what's going to happen just with the sickness and players getting sick. Yeah. MLS has already had teams that have had to either go home or, I guess, sit at home for 2 weeks or
and that's the thing,
themselves. So they were already going through this process, and it's going to be interesting to see how they bounce back, because it's big name players that are either not going or they're just getting sick and they can't go.
Well, and I think some of the biggest name players are coming from the NBA. We have a bunch of players, or MLB, to be honest. I mean, even the biggest name players, and Mike Trout still has not decided if he's truly going to play this season. I mean, that's huge. He has good reason, though, as well. I mean, he's one of the highest paid players. He is the highest paid player in the MLB, but he also has a newborn child. He has a wife that he needs to think about. And these are things that when you are a man, and obviously I'm not married, you're not married, so we don't understand that type of concept of thinking yet. But when you have a wife and a small child, baseball or any sport in that regard becomes absolutely secondary. That's the craziest thing to me. So as much as I love Mike Trout and want him to play, as well as the other big name players, you kind of understand that. I mean, even look at Ian Desmond. Ian Desmond has 4 kids at home and 1 on the way with a pregnant wife. Like, that's a good reason not to really put your family's lives in jeopardy. I mean, so as much as I want to see Ian Desmond play and strike out looking for the 100th time, I mean, it's a good reason for him to not participate in this baseball season. Well, and I can't fault him for that.
And I'm still curious to see what NFL players in the future either wanting to get a salary, guys that have already got their contract, cough, Mahomes, and guys that still need to prove themselves, like the rookies and things like that. How many of those guys are willing to take on this risk going into the season? And guys, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, Josh, I got an amazing list for you. A handful of athletes. Who is going to do better in the next 10 years? That's coming up next on Weekdays with Josh and Cole.
You're listening to Weekdays with Josh and Cole.
And welcome back, guys. We're doing it on Weekdays with Josh and Cole. I'm your main host, Cole Smitty Smith. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Joshua Owen Grismer. Well, what does the Owen come from in your Twitter name, by the way?
It's a family name, so it's my middle name, but it's a family name. And I on my social media, I go by Owen at the very end of my last name, just because it's much easier to spell than my actual
Grismer.
I mean, no one knows. And if you actually look at my last name, no one ever pronounces it as Grismer.
Okay,
so I figured Owen is just easier, so it's easier to spell everything like that.
Fair enough. Hey, we're learning things about each other right now. All right, I teased everybody. We got to get to the tease. Who will be the most successful in the next 10 years? We've heard a lot of big names starting to come out of these rookies. You got Joe Burrow, Luka Doncic, Patrick Mahomes, who just signed a massive mega deal, who will be playing for the Chiefs for the next 10 years until 2032, which is mind-boggling to think about. But Josh, I'm going to hand you a list here of a bunch of young athletes. They're younger. Well, some of them are a bit older, I guess, right now, but they're all up-and-comers. They're all all-stars. They're all at the top of their game in their sport. Who is going to be the most successful out of this list? You ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
All right. At number 1, of course, we start with Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
Number 2 is Mike Trout. 3 is Zion Williamson. 4, Sabrina Ionescu, who is the women's basketball player who just joined the New York Liberty.
Yep.
Going to get a jersey, by the way. 4th is Giannis Antetokounmpo. 5th is Lamar Jackson. 6th is Luka Doncic. Sorry, Luka. That's a big buff on that one. 7 is Coco Gauff.
Oh, Coco Gauff. She's the tennis player. She's a
tennis player.
Tennis
Thank you.
Star.
And 7 is Mbappe, the up-and-coming soccer star over in Europe right now.
He is lighting
up. And Josh, you were even telling me you're even considering buying your first soccer jersey.
So I'm not even a huge... actually, I'm more of a Euro League fan when it comes to soccer or football, if you want to call it that. But Kylian Mbappe, I mean, that guy, he is a freak athlete and one of the youngest, if not the youngest, to score game-winning goals during the Men's World Cup. And he was 18 at the time. I mean, he was just super young.
Interesting.
18 or 19 at the time. I mean, the guy is a stud. If you ever get a chance to watch him on TV or especially live, I mean, seriously, like, that guy is a joy to watch. So... is that the end of the list, or do you got more?
No, that's the end of the list. That's all I got for you. So out of that, we got Mahomes, Trout, Williamson, Ionescu, Antetokounmpo, Jackson, Doncic, Gauff, and Mbappe.
So, I mean, for me, looking at that list right off the bat, I'm going to say Trout is already 29. So
he's already at the top of his game a little bit.
He's at the top of his game. Like, he got that major contract because he is at the top of his game. And I still think... But see, for Patrick Mahomes, he has room to grow for me.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes said last year he couldn't even read full defenses.
And that's what's scary. That's
yes,
why they gave him 10-year contract.
I'm pretty dang sure Mike Trout knows how to read pitches or knows how to understand how to read a fly ball. So in regards to that, Mike Trout is not going to get much better. He's a freak athlete already. So I'm not looking for him this next couple of seasons, 2-3 years. I'm not looking at him to be like, what else can he show me?
So looking forward in the next 10 years, he's not going to be jumping off the page.
No, he's not going to be jumping
numbers.
up. I'm looking for him to be steady staying at those 40 home runs, staying at those 45 home runs, staying consistently great. Whereas Patrick Mahomes, I'm like, dude, throw 60 touchdowns next year. That's the thing. I'm still expecting more. I'm not expecting more from Trout. I'm expecting longevity. Now, when it comes to Coco Gauff or she's already been compared because she's already beaten Serena Williams. So when you're already compared and have beaten the greatest, yes, she is going to be the next greatest. She's like 16. Okay. She's seriously, seriously young. So on top of all that, she has so much more room to grow and she has years and decades to do it. So she is one that I'm absolutely going to be looking at when it comes to her next couple tournaments.
Well, see, and a couple matchups that are jumping off the board for me with this list, Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. It's the 2 NFL players on this list, and it's probably, arguably, the next quarterback rivalry, great rivalry, next to John Elway, Brett Favre, and Dan Marino, Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. This is the next matchup.
Which is
between
interesting.
Those two, though, I really see Patrick Mahomes going further. And I only say that because Lamar Jackson, I believe he's just going to be victim of the Cam Newton effect. You can't run forever on the field.
No, and I think Lamar Jackson can obviously throw the ball 1.5 miles, but I think the biggest thing is him also reading defenses and not just tucking it and running the second his first option is not available. And what I mean by that is Patrick Mahomes is more of a scrambler inside the pocket or outside of the pocket, whereas Lamar Jackson is looking to gain yards. And that's great, and it makes for amazing football. I mean, Michael Vick, when I first saw Michael Vick, he was a legend to me. So when I see Lamar Jackson, who reminds me a lot of Michael Vick, probably a Michael Vick 2.0 to be honest, he's probably a little bit better, a little bit faster. When I see that, I just don't see a starting star quarterback that lasts 15 years, which is what they're obviously expecting Patrick Mahomes to do. And I understand Patrick Mahomes can run when he needs to, but the dude can throw it 50, 60 yards with the flick of his wrist. And I'm not saying that Lamar doesn't have a strong arm, but Lamar's short passing game is not even close to the accuracy it needs to be.
All right.
And I get he was MVP last season.
No,
he was MVP not even because of number-wise. Yes, his numbers were good. Russell Wilson should have won MVP if it was for number-wise. He won MVP for shock value and how much better he was than the year before.
Well, and also considering the fact of what he did with that Ravens team.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
But that was a
phenomenal.
solid Ravens team, too. Let's not take away from that.
I'm not going to down any team like that. That defense was absolutely incredible.
Absolutely.
But you got to admit, when it came down into the playoffs, the mistakes were coming from Lamar Jackson tucking and running the football way too soon.
That's what you need to look at. And that's something that Patrick Mahomes will never do. Like, he didn't do it look at this. Even Patrick Mahomes could have already had 2 Super Bowls. He lost the first one in the AFC Championship due to a coin flip. He never even got a chance to have the ball.
Yeah.
So yes, he got it to overtime, but still he
definitely got cheated out of that first
That's what I'm saying.
Super Bowl.
And if you don't think that the Chiefs could have run over the Rams 2 years
big
ago,
time, yeah.
like flattened them.
Oh no, that game would have been a lot more interesting.
He could have NFL MVP, Super Bowl MVP, and another Super Bowl on top of that. Like, that's unbelievable how good he is.
No, and I definitely agree with that. And Patrick Mahomes, I guess, in terms of fandom popularity, in terms of longevity, in terms of Super Bowl longevity, like that's a dude you can at least guarantee getting 4 more rings, if not 5.
Yeah, and that's the thing. But actually, really quick side note, which is kind of funny. I follow this Instagram account, and it's called like famous NFL players in their opposing team's jerseys or opposing rivals' jerseys. And I saw Patrick Mahomes in a Broncos jersey with 15, and he was running out of the tunnel, and it just hurt my heart. I was just like, oh my gosh, what could have been?
I think
it was
a lot of teams
thing of beauty.
Well, imagine what Chicago thinks.
Oh my God. Hey, no, you know what? In Chicago's retrospect mind, they just saved $400 million. That's their thinking right now. That's kind of talking them off the cliff.
Josh, in Chicago's mind, they're thinking, oh my God, we have Nick Foles.
They're also thinking they need a new kicker because wide right. I'm just not going to bring that up, but it's fine. They have a lot of troubles.
They need a lot of
not
new
even
up
Nick
there.
Foles. Who's the other guy? Mitch Trubisky.
The other guy.
They're between a rock and the hard place right now.
Wow, he's not even worth Josh's memory bank anymore.
Who's going to be starting?
Guy.
Who's going to be starting?
Oh, by far Nick Foles. Yeah,
you think so?
Oh, yeah, big time. Mitch Trubisky sucks, dude. Yeah, I'm
going
to flat out say
injured last year.
I'm going to flat out say Trubisky sucks.
Look at his rookie numbers, though. His rookie season was not that bad.
And I'll be the first one to say this. His rookie season, I really thought there was something there. The way he was able to move around the pocket and the way he was able to throw Hail Mary passes, it was very reminiscent of Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
But he came back his second year and his third year, I might add now. And it has been absolute trash.
But then so what do you think about a guy like Mitch Trubisky and then a guy like Baker Mayfield, in that Baker Mayfield had a solid rookie campaign. He did not have a great year last year. Is he going to go the way of the dodo or Mitch Trubisky in your words?
But this is that prove-it year for Baker Mayfield. And this is a prove-it year for the Browns because now they don't have to deal with the hype. The hype is now on the Broncos, actually.
They also don't have to deal with an idiot coach named Freddie Kitchens.
Exactly. So I think a lot more eyes are going to be on the Browns this year than you think. And I think the Browns are going to be a lot more competitive in the AFC North than anybody's giving them credit for. That AFC North is a bad division. They are great. I shouldn't say bad, great division. They're like going to kill
It's
teams.
just the fact that Tom Brady's not there anymore.
No, this is the AFC North.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
No, this is Bengals, Browns, Ravens, Steelers.
Do you think? Okay, so then let me ask you this:
This is the toughest division in football, next to the NFC South.
I don't know how to word this. How good are the Bengals going to be? Let's just flat out ask that.
I think Joe Burrow is going to make that team extremely good.
See, I think he needs 3 years.
No, he needs time.
He's going to need time.
Max wins for me on the Bengals next year is 8-8 for sure. But it's a competitive 8-8.
Yeah.
But I think Joe Burrow adds a certain flair and swagger to a team that you only got with Kyler Murray.
But then another thing about Joe Burrow
like
is
Lamar Jackson.
You've only seen Joe Burrow for 1 full year. Like, he didn't even start at Ohio, and then the year with LSU, he was the transfer portal thing.
Unless Joe Burrow automatically reverts back to his old ways.
I'm just saying one solid year of college football. And again, yes, it was record-breaking year.
And Patrick Mahomes just made a mega deal, and he never knew how to read coverages, Josh.
Yeah, but Patrick Mahomes is... Joe Burrow will never be a Patrick Mahomes.
How do you know?
He doesn't have that type of talent.
Joe Burrow's being looked at as the best quarterback since Andrew Luck.
And Andrew Luck got them nothing.
Andrew Luck was on his way to a Super Bowl. He got nothing until he retired.
He didn't get a Super Bowl. He broke his neck 17 different times.
He quit.
He quit because his team around him had nothing.
But imagine what the Colts could have done with a proper quarterback last year.
You got to also understand that Joe Burrow's team, every single one of the offensive players, every single one of those offensive players either got drafted or picked up by an NFL
fantastic team around him.
So it's not just Joe Burrow working magic.
And I totally get that.
I could have thrown the ball up, and it would probably be 75% chance caught by the offense.
The 2019 LSU Tigers will go down in history as probably the greatest college football team of all time. Absolutely. And I totally 100% agree. They could have even beat the undefeated Central Florida team from a couple years ago.
Well, UCF is in a different division. I mean, they're not even close.
I get that, and they never would have made it anyway. But the point is, they would have beat them, and those were the self-proclaimed national champions.
Yeah, if you got to self-proclaim, but that's another topic. But I'm just saying, like, with Joe Burrow, yes, he's a good quarterback. He's a solid quarterback. I don't want to say anything about him until I see a year under him, maybe a year and a half.
And that's fair. But even with Kyler Murray, a lot of people said that Kyler Murray had a terrible year. But he's still being looked at as one of the better quarterbacks.
He's still got Rookie of the Year.
Unfairly. Because you and I have even both looked at the stats.
I was going to say.
There's one man that was better than Kyler Murray.
I love digging in this. I love it.
Gardner freaking Minshew, man, was the better rookie quarterback than Kyler Murray.
No, I agree with that. So, I just like to push your buttons on that because I agree with you with Gardner Minshew.
Yes,
but I don't know. I just don't want to make a claim. I think the Bengals are going to go 6-10, 7-9.
No, and that's
max.
fair. That's what I think too.
Again,
but that's progress, and that's something the Bengals haven't seen except with Andy Dalton, who was never able to get them past a couple rounds in the playoffs.
I don't think they made it past the first round.
No, they didn't. I don't think they ever won a game. Actually,
the biggest thing for me, when's the last time they had success? Carson Palmer,
probably
of like 05.
Long time ago.
I mean, it's been so long for those.
In terms of football age, the Bengals haven't been in the playoffs since.
So I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. There's a lot of hype around these next quarterbacks coming out of the league. There's a lot of hype with these young quarterbacks because you got Patrick Mahomes, who's 24. Like, he's not even 25 yet. So that's insane. You got Joe Burrow, who there will be a hype train for. Absolutely. You got Lamar Jackson, who's like, 22 maybe? I mean, he's still super young.
And we didn't even get to the basketball stars on this list. You got Giannis, Sabrina, Zion, Luka, they are about to take the NBA and WNBA by storm. Sabrina Ionescu too, by the way.
There's absolutely, how do I put this? She's going to be a star. She's going to change that league. There's no chance that she won't change that league forever.
She's going to be the Kobe for the WNBA, will she not?
Yes, absolutely. And it's not even just because of her star power that came with knowing Kobe. It's the star power that came with her being good at basketball.
Oh, yes.
That's the thing. So there's no chance that she will not change that game. She will be not the Kobe. I think she'll genuinely be the Michael Jordan for that league. For that league. Because Kobe was an amazing player, but Michael Jordan, let's face it, changed the league. He made it a worldwide, people from China, people from Australia, people from all around the world came to see Michael Jordan play in Chicago, of all places.
No, and I get that. And
so I think that'll be the same for her.
We'll end the segment on this, too. In terms of changing your game, literally making a name for yourself in a way that will stand the test of time that only a few players have been able to do. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, maybe Tom Brady, maybe.
Yeah.
Of the players on the list that I gave you, who is most likely going to do that for their sport? Now we got a tennis player. Got a soccer player. We got
Coco's
a WNBA player.
But
we
got
a lot of
the biggest thing. I got to go with Sabrina simply because even though Mbappe is amazing, he's a solid player. But you've already had the Cristiano Ronaldos.
That was my point.
Already had the Lionel Messis.
Yep.
You have people. Soccer's been around for not decades, millennia. I mean, it's been around for thousands of years now.
Yep.
So the thing for me personally is Michael Jordan created a U.S. based sport that was actually being dominated by other countries around the world until they made that the Magic team in 93 or whatever, 94, and they started making basketball great again. If I'm allowed to say that, they truly made U.S. basketball great again, and Michael Jordan was at the forefront of that. Like, you don't see people wearing yet the Zion Williamsons, the shoes. You see them wearing Jordans. What is Zion Williamson wearing? Jordan. Like, he is an icon that I don't think Tom Brady will never reach that.
And
NFL's not around the world.
And I'll even bring it back to my quote at the beginning of this podcast. I will most likely buy a Sabrina Ionescu jersey.
Absolutely.
How many people are going to go ahead and buy a WNBA jersey?
That's the thing.
Just to have a Sabrina
I wanted an
jersey.
Oregon Ducks jersey of her.
Exactly.
It was awesome. Those things are so cool. You get Nike and they give you 85 different jersey
I'm sure
combos.
Oregon's freaking out now that they don't have that cash cow anymore.
Yeah, so I think she has the biggest chance to really, truly make the WNBA something that it's never been.
All right.
And again, with Coco Gauff, you've already had the Serena Williams, and tennis around the world is massive. I mean, you got Wimbledon, you got the Novak Djokovic's, the other Joker from Serbia. You've got major Rafael Nadal. You've got major stars, Roger Federer. Those guys are worldwide. Those guys are not U.S.-based people. So with that, yes, Coco's got a chance to maybe be the next rising star, but is she going to change the game? I don't know. So
fair enough.
I think Sabrina's got the best chance, and I'm really, really looking forward to seeing her do that.
Guys, Sabrina Ionescu, that's who we're putting our money on to make the biggest impact in the next 10 years. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have today. We got to keep our podcast short to keep you interested, keep the ball rolling. We do got a lot of big things coming up, though. Stay tuned for NASCAR at Kentucky this weekend. The Quaker State 400, that's going to be at 12:30 Mountain Time on Fox. Go check it out. Lots of big racing. Last year, it was a nail-biter between the Busch brothers that Kurt Busch barely nudged away. It was a fantastic race.
And by barely, you mean photo finish, right?
Photo finish, literally by the nose. You got to look back at it. It was amazing. Go pull up the highlights of that race. It was fantastic. And Josh, we might be having a guest. Come on, talk about this race. Stay tuned to our social media at Cole Smitty Smith. You can find my partner at I'm Joshua Owen virtually anywhere. So Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, whatever you guys want. Keep following us here on Weekdays with Josh and Cole. We'll keep bringing you your Denver sports news.